let's be realistic. Things haven't always been going our way before. So why should we expect them to go our way now? You may not have been the kid at school always going for that extra credit, but you may well be that grown-up who's going for that extracurricular activity. Stress. Let's talk about long-distance relationship problems and how to make them less stressful and more manageable. What's up, guys? I'm Mike. I'm a long-distance fiance and a nurse, and I make videos that promote intentional experiences for a fuller life. Long-distance relationships have their obstacles, but they're still, at their root, relationships. I mean, all forms of relationships. Friendships, romantic relationships, relationship between siblings, parents. There's something that is fundamental within the relationship aspect that ties everything together. And when we can see those commonalities, we can benefit from that observation and apply it to our long-distance relationship. Without further ado, let's talk tips. The time zone troubles. Long-distance relationship couples have struggled seeing eye to eye, literally. So how much more for time to time? Time zone difference. Do you have a preference for time zone? Perhaps you or your significant other is frequently traveling for work or something. Fortunately for my fiance and I, we're just 12 to 13 hours apart, depending on the daylight savings time schedule. As much as we can, we try to communicate every day. Like, what time zone do you think is the most difficult for you to handle? 12 hours, 13 hours, 3 hours, 6 hours? Well, no matter what time zones you may or may not be facing, you gotta play the game. And in this case, you really can't hate the player. Hate the game. Well, maybe a little give and take of both. Ideally, you would like to communicate with your significant other every day, but what if you can't speak to them every day? Schedule the next meetup. You could leave a message, like an email, or even whatever messaging app that you use, just say something sweet. Or if plans just don't fall through, you could always schedule the next meetup. Hey babe, I can't make it today, let's try again tomorrow, and be specific, like let's meet up on Thursday night, Monday morning. Even though our best is at varying levels throughout the week, that's okay, especially when you have awkward time zones that don't work out as well. If one has to wake up earlier and the other has to sleep late, I personally prefer to wake up early than sleeping late. I mean, for the most part, you want to try to wake up and sleep on time. Not every situation is appropriate for a phone call, especially when you don't have the Wi-Fi. Let me know what's been working for you. On top of that, let's talk about miscommunication mishaps. Communication is a real easy thing to get wrong, especially through text. Thank God for emojis, and GIFs, and stickers, and video and audio messages. Sounds like a lot of helpful tools to me. If your cellular or Wi-Fi connection is good enough, you can fix all that miscommunication, call it in, and make your point more clear. And mind you, we are not approaching the situation to prove that we are right about something, but again, it's for clarity. When it comes to miscommunication, it's not about who's right and who's wrong. It's about understanding what is being said. If I tell my fiance, babe, you look beautiful today, and then she responds with something like, are you saying that I'm only beautiful today? What about yesterday? Is it not good enough for tomorrow? In fairness, I should also watch my words. But regardless of that, one of the situations where clarity is most important is when you both come from different cultures, when you speak different languages. Just because you both speak English doesn't mean that you understand each other on the same wavelength. Sometimes my English jokes just don't work in a Filipino culture. Different cultures express themselves differently. Their sayings, their cliches, and their ways of life are different. What may be funny to me may be offensive to them. And listen, sometimes we're just gonna have the miscommunications that just lead to heated moments. And I found it easier for me to handle those moments with just a breather in between. Let's just not talk for a few hours, and when we've calmed down and we've, sorted our thinking, we can come back and we could just talk it out again like mature adults. Ultimately, no matter what kind of miscommunication you have, there's still the universal language of respect. Don't miscommunicate that, or you'll get everything else wrong. Okay, let's talk about the Wi-Fi. Your Wi-Fi is down, but just because it's down doesn't mean your relationship is dead. Yes, your prepaid balance may be zero. Perhaps the bill wasn't paid. So now what do? Wait. Aside from calling companies and trying to get everything reestablished for your connection so you can watch this YouTube video and message your significant other, you could also send a message waiting for them. It's kind of like a voicemail, but more like a message, just waiting for them to receive it because, your internet is just out of commission. In reality, when the internet cuts off, it's more like, hello, are you there? I miss you, I love you. Okay, it's getting late. I'll talk to you tomorrow. Hopefully your internet comes back. Bye. Psh, that's the oldest trick in the book. Let's spice it up a little bit. You don't even have to add spices. Let's add a little sugar in it. Send a warm message. Like a really warm message, like from the soul. Babe, it's getting late. Although there was a disconnection, I wish you a good day. It was a pleasure chatting with you for the time that we had. Hope to message you later. I love you very much. It doesn't need to be an essay, but it's a plus. I mean, if they're into that. Again, we just have to make the best of the situation. Naturally, because they love you, your significant other will do their best to reconnect with you ASAP. The Wi-Fi may go down, but you can still send love up. Next situation. Worried for the what ifs. We can't guarantee the most important things in our lives, whether it's in our careers or relationships. We can plan the future as much as we want, but there are still some things out of our control. There's a limit to the best man-made outcome. There are just too many what-if situations to cover, so let's just focus on one, and that's promises. What if, insert promise here, and what if that doesn't work out? The whole thing's a trap. The idea of making and being accountable for those promises, regardless of the relationships, not many promises can actually be honored. But most honored promises are a blessing. Even in the nursing profession, when you tell a patient that you're gonna do something, you better do it. Otherwise, you're gonna just shatter that relationship. I didn't actually say the words, I promise, but pretty much everything that I say is a promise. People start questioning my character when I don't fulfill the things that I say I'm gonna do, whether or not it's actually within my control. So here's your tip. Don't reaffirm a promise, but reaffirm the intention. It just relieves the pressure of having to fulfill every single little thing that you have said or promised. What helps alleviate the pressure from even having to fulfill these promises or ultimately go to these ultimatums where you end the long distance relationship, it's not putting an exact date on things. Babe, I promise that I'll have a professional job at this date, or a career at this date, or by this date I will have saved up X amount of money. Life happens, so just focus on intention. As much as possible, I do not promise anything to my fiance. I tell Leanne that I have the intention to marry her and close this long distance. That's it, simple and done. And I support that intention by doing a few things. Daily communication, making progress of goals that benefit us, like saving money for our wedding, for life after the wedding. I reevaluate the plans and methods of closing long distance. I reevaluate the transition into marriage life. The first time I told her I liked her, I let her know my intention. I didn't just give her a promise that we were gonna be together forever. I let her know my intention that I admired her. I wanted to spend more time with her. Each interaction with each other, from small talk to planning life together, I just reaffirmed trust and faith in the relationship that we had. It's okay to plan for the future, but don't worry too much about what if. Just be content and just worry about what now. Enough sometimes is never enough. When it comes to seeing each other in person, it's never enough. Perhaps this will change when you are married and you see each other all the time. I see my fiance at least once every year. Unfortunately, the year that we were supposed to get married, last year, I didn't see her at all. So how do I deal with it? Well, besides the tips that I just went through in this video, it's really about seeing who you are going to be with in the end, and reaffirming yourself of your respective decision to stay together. I would rather temporarily be in a long distance relationship with someone I couldn't live without than being in a relationship with someone who's closer in proximity that was not worth any of my time. Relationships, they're lifestyles, but ultimately, despite the times of struggles and despairs, I still see them as blessings. I don't need to know you personally to know that you're going to want to see your loved one again and want to see them soon. But when you can't physically see your significant other today, don't lose sight of the future that you'll want to have with them. Finishing out today is just meaning that you'll have a closer together tomorrow. So I'm going to slide some long distance content right here. Thank you again for watching. I'll see you in the next one.